And then on the 8th, we have Bailey and Aki. On the 9th, Kuya Born. On the 15th, Johnny McMetal. The 16th, Dylan Broda. The 22nd, Jake Lupa. On the 23rd, Raimi. On the 28th, Lord Philip Ryzen. 29th, Pixel. The 30th, Anarchid Ash. And then November 5th, Shamika. Alright, I think we're all done putting ourselves over. No, Kaliko?
We're always over. What are you talking about? Let's get to it.
Hell yeah. And it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. And a very newsworthy week to say the least. But I think the thing everybody is talking about right now, when it comes to, the pro wrestling side of things, is Jey Uso winning the Intercontinental Championship. I'd like your thoughts on Jey winning the title last Monday.
You kind of knew he was going to win it. And the only reason I say that is because they don't usually put an Intercontinental match on a Raw before Bad Blood, right? It was his own thing, and that's where I was like, oh, he has a shot at winning. Because if he was going to lose by some kind of nefarious means, they would have just stuck it in between the pay-per-view, in between the card of the pay-per-view, right? Kind of like how Braun, like they did Braun, right? Braun loss was in the midst of the pay-per-view, so it was there, but it was kind of able to gloss over, if that makes sense. This just tells me Jay's gonna be knee deep in his own shit to care about what's going on with the bloodline. Like I said, he was. It just kind of screams that, because even if he does go back to the Bloodline for War Games, Braun's gonna have something to say about it, right? Especially within a month away, because it's not like they're gonna have the rematch at Bad Blood.
I mean, they might.
They might, but
I mean, yeah, they got, a pretty stacked fucking card right now, but I mean, I feel like they could slip, a Jey Uso Braun Breaker a match on there.
I mean, slipping it, I'm trying to think how, because, like we said, that card is stacked, so
Right.
that means that rematch is going to be on Raw. I think so.
Right. So, first and foremost, really happy for Jey. Congratulations. Very much deserved to win that championship. My problem with it is that it could have been bigger. It's one thing
Really?
Yeah. I kind of feel like it was, they kind of got backed into a corner to give Jey Uso something.
Why?
Because if they kind of I don't want to say if they waited any longer, maybe people would have lost faith in him. Because, he is, the most over wrestler they got. But I also feel like they had to give him something at this point. They gave him title opportunity after title opportunity, and, obviously he failed. But they could have gave it to him in a bigger fashion against, a bigger opponent. It seemed like it seemed more lackluster than it could have been if it was somewhere else rather than just, a random Raw in September. You know what I mean?
Mm, what would have been bigger than that between now and Mania?
Um,
What would have been the moment where it was just like, okay, it's super grandiose besides SummerSlam
well, I mean, Survivor
or
Series never been one for, major title matches. So I couldn't really say, Survivor Series. But, they're doing Saturday Night Main Event in December. And, you could definitely, WWE low key goes on break after that. So, I could see them, you know, giving him the title, as a nice little, you know, going into next year type momentum type deal. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. So then, second question: what would you done? You have done in the meantime to get to that point?
Uh, well, I mean, he's in the Judgment Day rivalry. You know, you could we're in October now. Well,
Mm-hmm.
a couple days to October. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you can stretch it until December. Like it's only another like 2.5 months away. So between let's assume there's going to be some type of bloodline rivalry in there. Then you have
Mm-hmm.
the Judgment Day rivalry, and then you have the Braun Breaker rivalry. You could,
Mm-hmm.
without that, you could say, well, he has this whirlwind around him. He couldn't win the title then, but now that all this shit is settled, now he could zone in and pencil zero in on Braun and win the title. And that's another thing. Braun Breaker only held that title for what? A month? Like 2 months at I don't feel like, yeah, they're they're building him, but you don't give somebody you're building like a month title reign and then beat him for it. He seems a lot less threatening now. You know what I mean?
I beg to differ because Randy Orton's first title reign as a heavyweight champion was only 30 days. So
I I mean that
I
was
what
more.
I'm I say that to preface it in the sense that that reign, his first reign, the only person's first reign that I've seen it to where it's just it makes them bigger than what they are as Gunther. Now with Jay, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Now, what if, because the whole premise of Jay even going after Braun and Braun antagonizing Jay was the fact that he was too busy focused on Rhea to get to the title. Rhea somehow, think about this, didn't have Rhea, didn't have a title. Somehow gets Rhea, he's getting Rhea, gets the title. You don't think that's a Dom coming back
Hmm.
to be like, do you see what I'm saying?
I get what you're
It,
saying.
it's that intricacy that people are missing. People are and it's playing on the fact that people probably passed over that show, and now that Jay won, they're like, holy shit, I gotta watch the next one because I don't know what's going to happen.
So you're saying like,
So it's a little bit of the unpredictability angle plus Jay Jay and I heard Rikishi say that too, but to me it's like I don't think Jay cared that big about it being this grandiose moment because of the fact that he failed so many times that it was expected. To the point now, it's like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
The moment is bigger because he failed so many times. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that was the moment. The moment was that every time he got close, his brother fucked him over, or he just couldn't be the bigger person. He just got beat by the better man that night. It wasn't something of his own self-destruction, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's just that you went, and the way that they took it with him, it was in the same gesture. You win some, you lose some, but you keep yeeting on. That's it, right?
Right.
So to me, it makes sense that he got it because of the simple fact, A, you didn't want him getting it at a pay-per-view or something to where it overshadows that accomplishment. That was the point of it having its own main event and it being on its own platform, its own moment to breathe in, right?
I got you.
So Jay winning it at Bad Blood, yeah, it would give you a pop, but that could overshadow CM Punk Drew McIntyre.
I could see that.
Right? So that's why they gave it its own thing. Like people, and that's what I think, especially like if you look at, I think they did that now when you see this card. I think they did that knowing that it could have overtook the card.
Would you? Well, we're gonna do the Bad Blood, preview later on tonight or today or whenever the hell this comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at that card, and let's say Jey Uso, Braun Breaker, SmackDown in the middle of that card.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing what we know now, would you have said who would you have gone to win that match?
If Jay versus
Braun at Bad Blood.
I think Jay wins by DQ because of Finn. It would have made sense then. See, that's what I thought was going to happen on Raw. I thought it would get prolonged because Finn would come in. Just because of the simple fact that, like, I did this to Rhea, so now I'm going to hurt Rhea by hurting you. Or costing you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or I mean, that made more sense. But now with Jay getting it, it actually kind of, it elevates him, puts him in the new, that singles tier that everyone was kind of hoping he would. He's got the girl. He's got probably the most dominant girl in WWE on his side.
Excluding Liv.
He's on cloud 12. Huh?
Excluding Liv.
Oh, Liv is not dominant.
I mean, she's the
hot,
title.
but not dominant.
She got the title. She got the Dom. She got the Tendy. She got the video games, and she got the group.
But the thing is that I think, I don't know, everybody's like more into Rhea anyway. So I think Jay having Rhea on his side with the title, it gives him that wave. He already had his wave by himself, but him and Rhea just makes that wave heavy. Right. And now you get to see the dynamic between them two as a champion and her kind of backing him in that manager / dating aspect.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is Finn. Finn could be trying to plant more seeds and so on and so forth. So it can go a different route. It just lays another layer in it because let's put it this way. Let's say if Jay does come home then some tragedy has to happen on this side for him to come home. If that makes sense.
Yeah. He also.
So that that's where if you're expecting Jey to join the bloodline, the OG bloodline at Survivor Series, between now and then, something has to happen so drastically to where he needs to go, okay, I just got to get back with my family. And at this point, I don't see it. I mean, I never saw it anyway when he got into this. It just wasn't going to be it.
Well, the other thing about all of this is, Braun Breaker and kind of where does he go from here? Crazy question, throwing some crazy shit to the wall. Could you see Braun Breaker joining Judgment Day?
No, I see them waiting till they get on Netflix to unleash what Braun Breaker gonna do in the sense of PG. I mean, PG-13/rated R violence.
Okay.
Because to me, I don't. When he talks, I don't see the way he talks. I see him throwing cuss words in it. I don't. It feels robotic without the curse words to me, without him cursing or having that raw expression, if you will,
I get the
like more Scott Steiner than Rick, if that makes sense.
I think if you throw some, curse words in there, I think that cheapens promos. That's just my opinion.
I'm
Uh,
not saying he's gonna be cutting f bombs every now and then, but when he gets intense, I can see it. When he's trying to make the point of intensity, I can see it.
I get you. Right. We talked. I believe it was last week about Penta and Ray Phoenix joining WWE. We all but said that they will sign to the company. Now there are conflicting reports that they are not signed with WWE, that they are in talks with WWE. Penta might actually be more free than Ray as of right now, as it is un it is unconfirmed if AEW has taxed on injury time to his contract. He was out for quite some time with injury. Um, what are your thoughts on just this? It seems like it's yes, no, maybe, definitely not at all at the same time. Why is there so many conflicting reports on this?
Mm, I mean, I kind of figured they were going to throw the injury freeze on there. That's in general in wrestling. Period. I think. I mean, to me, wrestling's the only spot where they pull that shit. I've never seen no one like in the NBA where it's like, oh yeah, I tore my Achilles for 6 months. Now we just gonna freeze his contract. We just gonna add injury time to your contract. Like, wait, what? Like, it to me, it's kind of uh, it sounds like it's just a move to keep Ray from joining Penta if this is the case. I at this point we just on the stay tuned bandwagon of it all. And even if he does have the injury time, is he just gonna be stuck like Miro and stuck at the crib, or you know what I mean?
Right.
It, to me it kind of like cheapens the way that he has to make a living, because I think that's just done for the TV purposes. It ain't like they're gonna stop him from going. Let's say if he wants to go to GCW for a couple shows.
Right. But do you think Penta will just go to WWE on his own, and to have a bit
They're
of a,
related, right?
yeah, they're brothers.
Oh, but then, he's the motherfucker. He'll wait. Vatos wait, sir. They come as a unit. They ain't coming solo.
Okay.
Ask Chavo and Eddie. They came as a unit. I mean, they came different times, but when they hooked up, it was a unit.
So maybe spend some time in TNA. Maybe take a couple GCW so bookings, AAA, whatever you want to call
Take
it.
a break, heal his body.
Yeah, and then wait. Depending on how much time Ray has on his contract, we shall see.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Another wait and see come to tuition is New Jersey MetLife Stadium will host SummerSlam 2025, a two-night event like it has like they announced in 2026. Already doing it next year. Um, Ironic. I just find it hilarious that when they do when they do WrestleMania MetLife Stadium, it's New York, New Jersey, or just New York, leave off the New Jersey. But when it's just SummerSlam, MetLife Stadium, it's literally the same arena, New Jersey. We're in New Jersey. No New York, it's just New Jersey.
That tells me that they're doing all the shows in Jersey that weekend. That's why. When WrestleMania, it was New York, New Jersey, because they were still doing the Garden. Or was it the Garden? No, they were doing Barclays.
Yeah.
That's why. Because it was Brooklyn. They were doing SmackDown Raw in Brooklyn, and then just going to MetLife just happened to be there. So now that it's SummerSlam, they technically could just do SmackDown Jersey Friday, Saturday. SmackDown in Jersey Friday and Saturday, Sunday. That's about it.
What are your thoughts on MetLife getting another major event?
I mean, it works in the sense that it's right across from New York City, Manhattan. That's why it works. And I can tell you right now, they probably learned a lesson from Cleveland, because when nobody Cleveland, I keep telling y'all, man, they did Jersey because it was like, oh, they could sell it as Jersey because hotels in Jersey are cheaper than hotels in New York. B, most people are probably going to go to New York and spend a couple days there and just go to Jersey for the show, still have the nightlife to go to Manhattan. It's a combo that works. This is why big cities get the shit, because everything's in proximity.
And not
you could literally be in Secaucus, New Jersey, and just drive over the bridge and go to New York.
Yeah, and not
and be in Manhattan, just like that.
And not Cleveland.
Yeah, not Cleveland. There you go.
Yeah.
Cleveland was just like,
now,
depressing. Love this. Love the stadium's okay, but the aura of the city is
Speaking of aura, Alexa Bliss, it's kind of rumored and innuendo that she might be coming back sooner rather than later, but WWE doesn't necessarily have any plans for her right now. She gave birth in November of last year. We're coming up on a year. Do you draw her into the Wyatt Six storyline? Do you keep her separate?
No, because I don't think she was. Was she still? I'm just trying to remind myself. Was she still the Bray Wyatt on the job training before she got pregnant?
she was low-key getting terrorized by Uncle Howdy when
So she had the on the job training, and then she said she quit, and now everybody's trying to force her back on the job training.
I guess. I mean, it would. I mean, it seems like logical to do a Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss rivalry, considering their history together. Um,
Mm,
but I also kind of feel like she's kind of done that. She's done the Wyatt thing. She's done that era of Alexa Bliss, and maybe it's time to
mm.
kind of go on to something new.
Well, I mean, I think she'll probably throw herself in the Liv story, personally. But hey, it is what it is.
Well, she is Liv Morgan small, so
So I mean, I could see it happening, but
I mean Liv Morgan is medium, Alexa Bliss is small. I guess that makes Rhea large. I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities for her to come right in and have a match with Liv. I mean, she is a world champion in her own right. Um,
mm-hmm.
but it's kind of what does it's kind of how she's presented rather than what she does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the how she comes back is almost as important as her coming back.
Right. And I'm just thinking, do you do the Wyatt Sick rivalry right away, or do you delay it and kind of milk it before you do that rivalry?
Just WWE is good at not rushing you into shit. They just let it be.
This regime anyway. All right.
So I mean, let it roll. Let her come back. Let her do her thing, and then eventually they'll get there. Don't do the AEW route where you just pop in. Oh, we're just gonna do this right away.
Speaking of which, MVP has joined AEW. He came to confront Prince Nana. Kind of talked trash to him about Swerve
Dancing too
Strickland.
goddamn much.
No, Swerve Strickland. And kind of telling him when he's ready to do business and take things seriously to call him, and gave him a card. Um, Obviously this is prompting, possibly Bobby Lashley to come into AEW and form the Ouchie business. Um, I don't, whether they do it or not, which it seems like they are, I don't really see this moving the needle. It's just kind of okay. So MVP and Bobby Lashley's in AEW. Okay, well, I mean the fan base isn't really that connected, so it's not going to move
Mm-hmm.
the needle.
Uh-huh.
But what are your thoughts?
I mean, it was just meant to plant that seed. Honestly, it almost is like MVP came in there like he needs a motherfucker that's gonna get him back on his business instead of y'all run around swerving and shit.
I mean, I'm not going to say that MVP isn't great on the microphone, because he definitely is. And putting him with Almas was probably his death sentence, because they never used Almas other than maybe once a year at this point. So I'm not gonna say that it's not gonna work to use MVP. I'm just saying that it might just not matter in the long run because it's not going to attract any new eyes that weren't already there to begin with.
Talking about for MVP?
For AEW.
I mean, yeah, but that's how they always do it. They're doing it as a because it was Grand Slam, so they're just okay. Let's just go ahead and make it a thing.
Of course.
And, and, and plant that seed because they got so much. That's the thing. They got to do it. When were they gonna do it? Because they got this Wrestle Dream still. Like it's like all that end, man. They got to get there somehow.
I get it. All right.
So they just had to plan it in, and let's just see where it goes from here. Because I think everybody was expecting Lashley with them, and it didn't happen. So they're like, what's gonna happen now?
You're probably like they're trying to build anticipation because well MVP was there, so Lashley's is close to follow. No.
Right.
I mean, obviously, but is it going to matter?
Mm, it it the only reason it won't is because everything is being clustered in the sense of what they're trying to accomplish. Because keep in mind, uh, Mox and Brian has still got a thing. Um, yeah, they're still trying to figure out the Wrestle Dream part of it. So
yeah. Well, somebody else trying to figure things out is the Big Show. Um, he wants to get healthy, get ready, so he could maybe have one final run in pro wrestling, and then retire. Um, we reported like years ago that he wanted to end his career as Captain Insano from I believe it was Adam Sandler movie.
the Water Boy.
Yeah. So
I know. I trust me. I
um
love that movie.
I mean if that's how he wants to do it, great, I suppose. Question mark. But he did say that he does want, somewhat of a run, something like Sting had at the end of his career. Um, do you?
Going out on top? Not the John L. Because they see AEW doing the opposite of going out on your back.
Yeah, I think that's basically yeah. If only,
That's what it is.
if only,
They're like, oh shit, wait a minute, I could win on the way out? That's a possibility? Let
if
me get this
only,
retirement match.
if only Tony Khan was there maybe like 10 years ago when Ric Flair had his sixth final match.
Oh no, man. Ric Flair, nah, I read the book. Ric Flair was like saying he woke up in cold sweats because he wasn't gonna wrestle anymore. He's literally addicted to this shit. He has a better relationship with pro wrestling than he does in all of his marriages combined.
Which is ironic because like a couple days ago he announced that he broke up with Wendy again.
Told you.
Yeah, I mean this is not necessarily news at this point. Um,
Not really. First love is wrestling. Everything else is for the bullshit.
yeah. Do you think they're actually going to give Big Show that final here's your flowers you know run, or do you think that it's going to be maybe a disappointment?
Here's why I say no. Um, Sting was a guy. He was one of the first big names that like popped up on AEW.
Yeah, I would say so.
As far as like in that legendary status that is not considered WWE being his best work.
Yeah.
So when Sting joined AEW, he wasn't seen as, oh, this is just a WWE guy trying to get a check, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It literally was, oh, he loves wrestling and he wants to do what he can. I mean, that's the perception everyone took it as. Vice a Mark Henry, a Big Show. Daniel Bryan gets the benefit of the doubt because people are more associated with him as one of the best indie wrestlers ever.
Which is crazy.
Same with
like literally one
same with Samoa Joe, which is weird. It's weird they don't get that WWE guy stigma, but everyone else does.
Yeah.
But then again, they didn't come in shitting WWE either.
I mean, true. Yeah. I mean, Samoa Joe was just like fired like 10 times.
Yeah, I mean I mean, trust me, Triple H fired. I mean, Vince fired him, and Triple H rehired him more times than Ric Flair got married. But anyways, the point of the matter is that Sting is seen as one, it's Sting. Two, he didn't have that stigma that even though he had a WWE run, people don't associate Sting with the WWE run.
True.
And that's why I think Big Show it I'm leaning to no because he had a long ass run in WWE.
I mean, I feel like he's better known for his WWE work than his
He
WWE
then
work.
being the Big Show or being the Giant, in which the Giant in WCW had a fucking run.
Yeah.
I mean, the Giant in WWE, I mean, at least a two-time World Heavyweight Champion. And you know what I'm saying? So, um, so that's why. And it was brief, but yeah, he had two title reigns as heavyweight WCW champion. So, and then he was the youngest at the time at 23. So my point is that from that point on, he was just known as WWE guy.
Right.
His WWE longevity overshadowed that spark he had in WCW. By Sting has had a minimum of 15 years in WCW and then another 10 in TNA.
Yeah.
So Sting was already known as Sting.
Very true.
And WWE didn't enhance, as much as WWE didn't enhance Sting, they didn't tarnish Sting either.
Absolutely. Well,
so that's why. But I'm surprised Mark Henry ain't like, I'm trying to get back in this bitch and I'm surprised any WWE recently retired. Diamond Dallas Page, come on down, homie. Who else? I mean, Arn Anderson.
I think Arn Anderson is good with what he has right now.
I'm just saying. Bring them all down.
But I don't think Big Show has like another run in him. Not necessarily what Sting did with Darby Allin, as tag team champions. I don't see that in his future, if I'm being honest. I could see
Yeah, who the
him,
hell is tag teaming with that big mofo?
but I could see him maybe just having. I want to say just like one final match, but I'll be generous and say a final rivalry. So, maybe two, three matches to say, I told a story, I started a story, I told a story, I finished the story. Who that might actually be with, I have no idea, but um, I guess that will remain to be unseen until he gets healthy to have a
Hmm.
match. Because I don't want to like speculate and say, oh well, John Moxley, Daniel Bryan, yada yada. Who the fuck knows what AEW's roster is gonna look like in 6 months to a year? Like, I mean, all these guys could be gone by then. The only
I
the only guy like I could say,
true.
if he's healthy, that would be like a good way to end it. It would be honestly be Edge.
Brother, nah. Because Edge is definitely WWE through and through. Christian has a better chance than Edge
So you think
going out on top.
the Big Show versus the Young Bucks in a handicap match to end his career?
Mm, I mean, just give him Private Party,
If there's
who are still on who are still on milk cartons, by the way.
That's what I was gonna say. When's the last time we seen Private Party?
That's my point, boy. Remember when they were the darlings?
I mean, in 2019.
That's my dude. They were the darlings right along with Darby Allin. Come on, bro.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I want to say that there was injuries involved, but I could be wrong with that. But hey, Darby stayed a darling, and they went missing.
I mean, if anybody can tell me where Private Party is, APB for Private Party, please.
Well, I don't know why he wants to end his
Just saying.
career as Captain Insano. Um, why he wouldn't just want to be Paul White, um, is beyond me. But to each their own. But like you said, Adam Sandler movie. Um, Also Adam Sandler
The
movie.
Water Boy.
Um, MJF will be in Happy Gilmore 2 as Gilmore's son. Um, I mean, it's not a theatrical release, it's a Netflix show. Does this really do anything for MJF? Does this do anything for AEW?
I mean, it does something for MJ. I mean, but MJF being in the Adam Sandler movie gets him paid. I mean,
I mean, yeah, but more than that, does it get him exposed?
if he didn't get an exposure from the damn Von Erichs movie, there's nothing that's gonna change that.
Um, I didn't watch the Von Erich movie. Was he obviously he was in it?
He was in it, and it was a small part. But that was my point. Like, if that didn't give him the exposure to into acting, I don't know what it is.
I mean, on the opposite end of that spectrum, whenever it does release, Seth Rollins is in the new Captain America movie. I think that's a big deal for obviously obvious reasons. It's Marvel. But an Adam Sandler Netflix movie, yeah, I don't think that that's gonna do wonders for your career.
I mean, if it was like Adam Sandler's serious drama, because his drama movies have been better. But him trying to get back to 1999 Adam Sandler.
Yeah, agreed. Alright. And our last bit of news. Darby Allin did an interview, and he made the claim that WWE is Taylor Swift and AEW is Slayer. Kaliko, you are a resident music guy. How do you feel that comparison is?
Wow. I mean, I guess they're trying to say that AEW, WWE is more pop, and I mean, in essence, you can make the argument for, you can make the argument for WWE being Taylor Swift because it's polished, it's mainstream, kids go to the show. You know what I'm saying? You could see why they make that argument, and I could see why they made the argument that they're Slayer, because Slayer is more like, to be a fan of Slayer, you not saying it's cult-ish, but in-ish. It's more underground, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
Slayer is a group that's big. It's not Taylor Swift big, but that's the point. Taylor Swift is a big product because it appeals to all masses. The only reason I don't agree with AEW being Slayer's been around since the 80s. Taylor Swift literally been around, what, a good 10, 15 years?
something about around that. I'd say a solid
So,
15 years.
I mean, WWE been around since the 50s, just polished itself. The one thing WWE got on them is time. But in that time, they also built roots to nostalgia beyond beyond um beyond my childhood, right? Because prime example, people may love Slayer, but they're not taking their 6-year-old to a Slayer concert.
Nor would we recommend taking your 6-year old to a Slayer concert.
I mean, but that's my point. It's just like, you'll have them listen to Slayer. You'll have them listen to Slayer and everything, but you ain't taking them to a Slayer concert.
Yeah.
I mean, Slayer wouldn't want you taking them to a Slayer concert.
Yeah.
So, I could see why they're saying it. They're saying WWE's poppy and is in mainstream, and I've always been the person to say it. WWE is the Apple of wrestling, because when you think of wrestling, you think of WWE, and when you think of people, when people think of the wrestlers, they're thinking of WWE and WWF. They don't even name half the. They would even name two of the companies that has happened in the tenure of WWE. Because you really got to be in it to be like, okay, I know the history of NWA to WCW to ECW. You know what I'm saying?
right. It's always
ECW is so
WWE.
cult like that. Like, I mean, you see what I'm saying? So I get it, and it kind of rings true to a certain extent. And this is why WWE will always be the king, because you're catering to a audience that's bigger than yourself, and you're tapping into people's nostalgia to get them to come. Oh, gee, I don't know who this is, but I've been to WWE and I had a good time. I'm pretty sure my son would have, or my kids would have a good time. Oh, gee. I've been I've been to AEW. When I take my kid to go see wrestlers flip out the crowd. I mean, it's a given. It's just people's taste.
I would say that WWE is more like the Rolling Stones than Taylor Swift. I mean, a lot of people love the Stones. A lot of people, they're multi generational. Like, you could take your kids to see the Rolling Stones, your grandkids, your great grandkids, and it could still be somewhat relevant. And I mean, they're still pretty relevant today. Um, and I would,
They are.
and if I would call AEW any band, um, I would probably call them Nickelback. Um, you know, not to say that
Nickelback.
I don't say that Nickelback
Wow.
doesn't have their fans, but they can be very they are very niche when it comes to who exactly likes them. Cause and then the rest of everybody just hates on them. Thoughts?
I my only reason I know why they said Taylor Swift because Taylor Swift is liked by kids. That's why. And they're trying to say, oh, they're just a kid catered show.
I
They're
mean,
not a wrestling show. They're a wrestling show that is more kid catered. And they just was basically, I mean, they might as well just said they're the Blues Clues of wrestling.
CM Punk is the Taylor Swift of for grown men, so they're not far off. And probably that's why Darby said what he said. Um, but I gave my analogy. How would you compare WWE to music and AEW?
Mm, WWE is the Snoop Dogg of wrestling
Okay.
because they had their hardcore years and now they're having their granddad years. But somehow, they're, and the reason I say that because they go through all these phases, but yet they're still relevant.
Very true.
Even in those down as 2012, 2013 to 2015 years, they were still relevant.
I would say 2013 to um 2012 to 2019, if I'm being honest. Um,
Ooh, you gave him 7 years?
yeah, they had between. The only thing that I would say, I would give them 2011 because that was CM Punk Pipe Bomb, and 2012 was CM Punk Give Me Respect. And I think the Give Me Respect CM Punk was even better than Pipe Bomb CM Punk. Um, so 2013 to 2019 sounds about right to me. Because from like
Yeah,
2017
2013 when he lost the title. Ooh,
2017 to like
2017.
2019 was like I dipped out for a while, if I'm being honest. I was I wasn't it was they was not doing things that I liked or that I felt was relevant or interesting, so I was like, I'll dip out for a while. I watched the paid previews, but that was
And
I
that makes sense because that was when Roman beat Taker, and everybody was like, "Oh hell no!" So it makes sense.
well, it wasn't the
And,
reason I dipped out. It was just like really bad storytelling at the time.
that was the reason why a lot of people digged out.
And I get that. And then Undertaker came back like a couple months later and tag teamed with Roman.
Don't even get me started on that shit. But that's a whole nother argument for another day. Um,
Please. Okay, so WWE is
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg. Who's AEW?
Um, if I could put it in, who would I put AEW as? Jesus, because it's been only 5 years. They started out the baby, and you're like, who the fuck is the baby? But anyways, who could I put it? And the reason I say the baby because they started out hot, and then they fizzled out, and they're fizzling out rather, due to their own self-destruction. And the only reason I say because the baby is a really, really, and for most people who don't know, the baby is a really, really good rapper. He had a hell of a year. I think 2020 he was on every track, and through things of his own self-destruction, he ended up phasing out of the mainstream rap music. Who else can I think of? I could think of a Cardi B. Started out hot, self-inflicting stuff, worried about everything except the storytelling. They worried about the flips and shit and the drama more so than the drama of being the Wild Wild West and anti-WWE rather than focusing on the music, aka the storytelling. I mean, I can make several of them. I'm trying to think of a rock group that was like that.
Okay, since we're just on the subject, and I'm genuinely curious. What band is TNA?
Oh shit. Damn. The band that keeps going and no one knows.
Well,
Slightly Stupid.
I mean, I know what they are, but what band?
But Slightly Stupid. and the reason I say it because Slightly Stupid is a group in which you have to know to know. Really good band. People know of them, but people outside of them that know of them doesn't know that they exist.
Well, that sounds perfect. I think that will conclude our coverage of the nails. And now a quick word from us.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.